Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions. And we continue our journey through Euro 2020. We are on the second round of group games for Groups D, E, and F. Now, there is a pretty big game in Group D between England and Scotland. You may have heard of those countries. You may have heard of the game. So we're saving that one for the end. So stick around for the end if you want to see what we predict for that one. So we're going to park Group D for now. And we're going to jump straight into Group E. And the first game we're going to talk about, Thomas, is Slovakia versus Sweden.
Slovakia, to me, are one of the surprises of the tournament. They dealt with Poland quite handily, and they remind me a little bit of Ukraine. They were a lot more technically gifted than I'd expected. They moved the ball a lot quicker than I'd expected, and they made Poland look average. And I'm going to be honest, Poland are no longer even close to a team I think can make it through in this group. Sweden, Ian, I'm going to let you have your say first, because we could be here for a couple hours.
Well, they made Poland look average because they are. But they did play well. I do agree about. But you said you were shocked. How shocked were you?
Shocked by what? Poland?
By Slovakia. You said you were shocked by them.
Well, I honestly thought they'd be
Was it like,
yeah, exactly like that. And then I fell over. Whole thing.
I was disgusted, quite frankly, with the way Sweden played. I hated it. And I know they played Spain, and Spain are very much just going to keep the ball, but they had less than 20% possession. They had less than 15% possession, and they still came away with a 0-0 draw. Olsen was great in goal. They defended really well. I've got to give them credit for that, the way they did it. Isak had some bright bright moments up front. He looked really good. I'd like to see them get him on the ball more. But, I mean, I guess if that was your plan, you got away with it, you got it done. But I just hate to see football played in that way. They didn't even try and attack Spain. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on against a side where they won't need to put 10 men behind the ball and just defend for their lives. So expect to see a lot more of a normal Sweden side with a kind of just playing very, very direct, good at set pieces, and then pretty hard to beat. So I'm not expecting this one to be a classic, put it that way.
No, but I like any team that's entire goal is just to piss off the Spanish and prove that their style of play doesn't work. They rode their luck though to a huge extent. But Ian, I will let you predict first for this game.
All the way through, I was thinking, I can't back Sweden. I hope they go out. But when it comes to predictions, and of course, because we are at war, it's more than just what my heart says, Tom. I have to go with a bit of logic, and I think Sweden are good for another point here. I'm going 1-1.
I am going to go for Slovakia to do what they did last time and win 2-1.
Lovely volleyed winner by the Slovakians, by the way, by the centre-back. Fantastic.
I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a really good game. I enjoyed it too.
Spain versus Poland.
I heard a lot about Spain, mainly from Guillaume Balaguer, talking about how this is a different Spain. This isn't the Spain we had a few years ago where they will suffocate you and just keep the ball and you'll never get the ball and there'll be a lot more dynamic. Yeah, I didn't see any of that. Saw a lot of passing.
They're the same team. The same.
I didn't think I was done, but thank you for chiming in.
Sorry.
No, absolutely. I didn't see any of that. I just saw exactly that. I saw overplaying, too many passes. When they did get shots in, it was just kind of, Morata probably wasted the best chance of the bunch, but just typical Spain, passing for the sake of passing, overdoing it, and in the end, very wasteful. And it was a game they'll look back on and think they should have easily won 2 or 3-0, but they didn't, and now they'll be chasing it a little bit. But I don't think they'll have any problem against Poland because I thought they were quite poor.
I thought Poland were poor. I mean, Spain, Gerrard, whatever his name is, had 2 gilt-edged chances at the end, and was it Sabata or somebody where the cross came in the 93rd minute?
Yeah, he just tried to knee it.
It was you know what it was? It was like watching Arsenal. You know they're better than what they're doing, but this refusal to not just score a goal. It was a steadfast refusal, and that's why I hate watching Spain.
It is almost like we'd rather draw 0-0 playing this way than win 1-0 playing a bit, with a bit more ambition and taking a shot from 30 yards.
Yeah, there's no Xavi or Iniesta here just to win the game for them, and I actually don't think they have that sort of match winner in the squad anymore, and they definitely don't have a fulcrum up front to score the goals.
I mean, I something about, like, they talk a bit about. I've heard a little bit of it this week about players who play better for their countries than they do for their clubs. But I think someone like Morata, he looked in really good form all season. Put him in a Spanish shirt, he looked like he couldn't hit a barn door.
Well, it's like a bit like how Pep Guardiola couldn't get a song out of Ibrahimovic by possibly like the number 2 striker of his generation behind Ronaldo. Like, the style of play just doesn't fit a striker, and unfortunately, they don't have the wingers. Sorry,
I think Messi might be in there.
Poland, though, boring, pedantic, offered nothing. Their only outlet is Lewandowski, and it's quite clear that whilst being one of the best strikers in the world, unless you actually get him a scoring opportunity, he's completely useless because he scores goals. So you have to get the ball in the box and to him. The one goal they did score, fantastic work by him, runs across, drags the defender out of play, and gives Poland the world's slowest dribbler.
It was Linetti to literally just I think I was going to say, hit the slowest possible shot into the corner, which I don't know how the goalie didn't save it. But the red card kind of ruined it for them.
Don't even try it. Don't even try it.
I'm going to try it.
Don't do it.
Krychowiak with a second yellow card. Szczesny, I thought he should have done better with the first goal, really. I know it's bounced off the post and hit him on the head, but a bit slow to get down, so a lot to improve for the Poles. And basically what we said, if they can't get Lewandowski into the game, they don't look a very good outfit at all. So as I went first last time, I will let you go first this time, Tom. What do you think for predictions in this one?
1-0 to the goal machine that is Spain.
Is that going to be what we predict for Spain every time now?
Yep.
I will
mirror it.
2-1 Spain.
Ooh.
Let's go for them to have to. Let's hope Poland score first, so Spain have to actually come out and attack in a different way.
Hungary versus France.
Tom, I'm going to talk about Hungary first. I thought they gave everything into that game against Portugal. The stadium was absolutely full, so they must have no COVID restrictions over there at all. I think it was a packed house. It was a great atmosphere.
60,000.
Yeah, the players put their heart and soul and everything into that game, and they nearly came away with a draw. But once Portugal did get the first goal, they kind of racked up the goals that probably they deserved overall. But a spirited display by Hungary. Once again, as this group is a nightmare for them, they face another nightmare in France.
Yeah, France were brilliant. They beat Germany 1-0. I don't think they ever actually got out of fourth gear, to be totally honest. I was kind of let down that Germany didn't offer as much, but we'll talk about them in a minute. Paul Pogba had another fantastic performance. Who knew? If you play him in the position he's best at, he will perform well. Everyone going on about how badly he performs for Man United. They play him as a left winger at Man United. He's a center midfielder with N'Golo Kante supporting him. Like, I don't know how you want him to play better, but like, he plays at center mid. Anyway, he was good. Mbappe looks actually terrifying. What, Ian? What?
I like him on the left wing.
And Mbappe was just playing a different sport. The ability for him to have both pace and power is just unfair. Benzema starts his first game in like 3 years. I did think that was interesting to drop Giroud and put Benzema in, having not had Benzema in the team for 3 years in the lead-up.
Shit. Giroud is shit.
It's World Cup.
If you can play Benzema over Giroud, you're going to do that. You are going to play Giroud. You are going to play Benzema over Giroud 9 times out.
World Cup Champions League winning Olivier Giroud.
I don't care. I'm just telling you. You
World
are
Cup,
any manager.
Champions League winning.
Okay, fine. The most impressive thing for me about France was how they won. They were able to almost like they yawned their way through the game. They were so comfortable. And I know Germany kind of put a lot of effort into it and did look pretty decent at times, but France just looked like they were just so able to keep them at bay, and they never really looked in any trouble, and they felt like they were always going to pick them off with a second goal if they needed to, and just so much more to come from this French side. To beat a Germany side 1-0 without
so easily.
Yeah, it's really great for them and worrying for everybody else.
Yeah. So Ian, predict the resulteth.
I'm just not going to go too big on this, just because I think that France are just going to carry on with that kind of attitude
Win
of
the game
almost
and
like
move on.
like a cat lazily batting a ball of wool or a fly on a lazy Sunday afternoon or something like that. I think they'll win 2-0. I think it'll just be nice and comfortable and they won't break sweat again.
I'm going to go with 3-0. Hungary are at home again. I think the atmosphere will mean the Hungarians are really up for it, and I think the French are going to kind of have to match them just to get through the game.
Would be a main event in any other week, on any other given Sunday, even though this isn't a Sunday. It is Portugal versus Germany.
Portugal versus Germany. This is a huge game, despite Germany, as we said, just offering very little against France. Portugal were at free-flowing best against Hungary multiple times. I mean, good lord, they had something like 80% of the ball as well, but they did translate it into goals. Pick of the goals is probably the third one when Ronaldo, from like 3 foot away from the goalkeeper, somehow maneuvers the ball around him.
Absolutely the pick, considering the other one was a penalty and then it was a deflected, scuffed shot that went into the corner.
But it was still really good footwork. They looked really strong. It was one of those games where Hungary, with 60,000 people behind them, just set out to frustrate Portugal. They did get close to scoring, but Portugal, again, were in complete control. It was just how are they going to get through? And they have Cristiano Ronaldo, who tends to score goals. Ian, we've already said it multiple times. I don't know how much more we have to do, but Germany were poor.
Yeah, Germany have become a bit like England, haven't they? Old England, of a really good side. You expect them to be good. They got lots of good players out there, but it just doesn't seem to click. They do look like they've dropped off a level now below the elite sides in world football, which I know it's difficult to say that after they played France, who are arguably the best side in this tournament. But they never looked, for me, they never really looked like they were going to win the game. They had some chances, and go on.
I have questions for you. I'd like you to answer.
Okay, but let me just say one thing. Hummels, great finish.
That was a fantastic goal. So Joachim Low is on his way out, and it felt very much like Germany were pushing him out the door at the end, going, we need someone else in charge. Now, when you see a team that puts Kai Havertz at cam, Serge Gnabry, who plays as a winger for Bayern, at striker, and drops Thomas Müller in the hole with Kai Havertz, is that how you'd have lined up your team?
No, I probably wouldn't have lined it up, but I actually thought they played quite well. Those three up front played all right together, and Havertz is getting some criticism. I actually thought that the link-up play between those three worked quite well. It actually got worse when they made subs, I thought. And I don't know, it's just difficult. They don't really have anybody who's lethal up front. I mean, Werner, we've seen him all year in the Premier League struggle for goals. Havertz was looking good towards the end of the season, so maybe you could have played him up there. But they don't really have an out-and-out goal scorer, and I think the side's really struggling for that. I don't see a lot of pace in the side either, which was quite evident how France were able to just sit quite deep and not really worry about them.
Toni Kroos, we know he's a great player, but is it just me that feels like whenever I see him play for Germany, he's like bang average?
The difference between playing in La Liga, I think, and playing for Germany, isn't it? La Liga, he's playing in there with Modric, so they're probably going to get. It's a slower league, isn't it? Played at a slower pace, so they get a lot of time on the ball to pick their passes. Anybody knows that is what, if you stop Kroos from playing, you stop Germany or you stop Real Madrid. So they'll put a lot of emphasis into stopping him and not allowing him space on the ball. And I think that he didn't have a great game. And I think that Germany have to find another way around being an attacking threat other than just hoping that he can pull the strings.
Matt Hummels or Schick for goal of the Euros?
Hummels for me. To control it off your shin like that is really good. First time effort.
Neuer actually almost got to that as well. Like, he had a hand pretty close. You're like, oh, that's quite impressive goalkeeping. But anyway, Ian, give us a prediction.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Portugal in this one. I backed Germany in the first game, but after seeing the two sides, I've got to back Portugal here as well. And just something on Portugal, the way it felt like it was going to be one of those games where it just wasn't going to happen for them. And they did need a little bit of luck with that deflected goal. But once they did get that goal, they were like, right, we're going to make them pay now. And even within the last 10 minutes, they made sure they got the goals that their play deserved, really. And I just see I see Germany not really being able to cope with what Portugal can throw at them, and I think it will be quite a nice win for Portugal again. I'm actually going to go for 3-1 to Portugal.
I'm going to go with 2-1 to Portugal. I don't know why, but something tells me Portugal are going to make heavy work of this, despite being the better side for the whole match.
Yeah, but Ronaldo for golden boots, huh?
Already clearly the greatest player to have ever graced this tournament.
Okay, we move in to Group D now.
The Group of Death.
Some say that's Group F, but no. How can it be? We start with Croatia versus the Czech Republic.
Czech Republic, they top the group. They're the greatest side. They had what we can only describe as a victory over the Scots. Scotland did not offer a huge amount, and we'll talk about them in a minute, but the Schick goal is obviously beautiful. The header for them to take the lead was also quite good. And they're another one of these sides that aren't just here to make up numbers. They do actually have a decent side. Ian, I'm going to let you do this because I know your feelings on this. Croatia were poor.
Yeah, I just want to go back to talk about the Czech. I actually thought it was a decent game against Scotland. I thought both sides played well. But Scotland didn't look. They looked a decent side in it as well. I thought both sides looked decent, and it was just that overriding bit of quality from the Czechs, obviously led through Schick more than anything else. But I thought Croatia were really poor against England. They talk about them being a side that's a bit past their best, and I don't know whether it was just the fact it was a baking hot day at Wembley, which makes their play look even slower. But I thought that they barely caused England any problems at all, which is surprising.
Yeah, the only time they offered anything, and you can look at our review video in the top corner, the only time they offered anything was the final 5 minutes when Luka Modric realized that he basically was going to have to scamper about like a madman and dictate play. I was let down by them. I was impressed by the Czech Republic. I have my views on Scotland, but I'll give them...
In a game where they played England, were you really let down for the fact that Croatia were poor?
Well, I really wanted England to be challenged, because I didn't like the lineup, but let's not do that, because we end up talking about England. Croatia were poor. I wanted more from them. That's how this is going to go. Ian, give us a score prediction.
Yeah, I'm quite happy that Croatia were poor. I'll take the England 1-0 win all day long. But my mind's changed on this one now. I'm actually favouring the Czech Republic in this one. The way they played, I thought they played a really good style of football. I thought they played with a lot of attacking intent. They got different ways they can score goals. Obviously, we've seen with Schick in the air, and obviously with a wonderful goal from the halfway line. Souček as well, he's a threat. Kufau on the wing, fantastic. And Derrida in just behind Schick as well. This is a dangerous Czech Republic side, and I think they're going to cause Croatia some problems. And I'm going to be a bit bold here, Tom, and I think Czech Republic are going to win. I'm going to go for Croatia 1, Czech Republic 2.
I'm copying your score.
Czech Republic top the group, after all. Irrelevant. Everything else is irrelevant when it comes back to history, when it comes back to rivalry, when it comes back to wars fought between these two countries. It is time for the main event.
England versus Scotland.
Am I allowed to back Scotland in this one?
No, you don't live in Scotland. You're not Scottish. What is wrong with you? Take that top off.
Believe me, we as much as that would make our views fly through the roof. I'm not prepared to expose my cuppage on very biased opinions just yet. Right. Well,
look, can I just say some things about Scotland?
Well, we've talked to death about England, as we said. You can see that video in the top corner. I'm sure we'll have to touch on it a little bit more as well. It's very typical Scotland, really, wasn't it? I thought they played well. I thought they had a lot of endeavour. I thought they came out and they really showed a lot of intent to win the game. They created chances. Robertson looked a threat every time down the wing. I thought McGinn looked good as well. Dykes got in there, kept getting in there, but he didn't have his shooting boots on. And then they just got undone by a couple of bits of quality. And the second goal was obscenely good. Do you blame Marshall in any way for that one?
Not really. The one thing I did notice about Scotland that annoyed me multiple times was that they'd almost have like a corner and the ball would end up with the goalkeeper again. And then there was this over-reliance on the fact that Andy Robertson is the best left back probably in the world or whatever right now. So they'd the left would be too congested. They play it into the center mid, who'd play it back to the center back, who's quite slow. I'm not sure what his name is, but one of them is insanely slow. And he'd kind of look out on the right and then go, no. And they just kept going down the left. And I get it. You got Andy Robertson, he's a great player. I really don't think that's going to fly against this England team. And
it'll be even more left-sided because Tierney's probably going to come back into the side. So you're going to have Tierney and Robertson on the left-hand side. So you're going to have an even more left-hand side dominant Scotland side.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll go as well against the big boys. I think it worked to a certain extent against the Czech Republic because they don't have the level England have. But I think England set out to frustrate teams. They don't set out to win games. They set out to frustrate the opposition. And they're just going to look at that left side and be like, absolutely not. We are not letting that happen to us. And I think that they're going to really squeeze them. And when it comes to McGinn, he's a really industrious midfielder, but he's not the most creative of midfielders. We know Scott McTominay's main talent is stopping attacks, not building new ones. And I don't think they're going to offer a huge amount in this if England play the way that England have played every match ever under Gareth Southgate, which is to frustrate the opposition and win by an odd goal.
Yeah, I think Scotland, although they're behind the 8 ball massively in this group now, and there'll be a lot of people in Scotland. There'll be the instinct will be, let's go and attack England, let's give it a go, let's go and hurt them. I think if they're too gung ho, they're just going to get ripped apart by this England side. They have to defend deep, they have to defend in numbers, and I think they have to just rely on kind of nicking a goal on a counter attack and trying to rely on a lucky 1-0, 2-1 win really, because they don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of weapons that can hurt this England side. They've got a lot of decent players, but not star players. We know England are going to play 2 older midfield players as well, so England aren't going to be open in any way, shape, or form. They're just not. I know. But so don't expect Scotland to be like crazy and kamikaze and go for it unless they have to in the last few minutes. But just a couple of questions for you, Tom, on England. So I think he's going to play the same formation. Do you think he's going to play the same team?
Yeah. I don't see how he takes Raheem Sterling out after he scored a goal.
Sure, but Trippier?
Apparently he picked Trippier because he's better at defending than anyone else on the left-hand side of the pitch. So at that point, how could
if you're Shaw and if you're Chilwell, you've got to be a bit pissed off about that.
I mean, I think if you're Luke Shaw and you just had the best year of your career and you were the best probably English left back in the league, you're sat there spitting blood in reality. But he's got his favourites. He loves Kieran Trippier. He loves Kyle Walker. He'll put them both in the same team every chance he gets because apparently set pieces are more important than defenders with a left foot. And I think England are going to have a real problem if they don't play Luke Shaw against a big boy, because you saw it in the England match. Every time they play the ball to Trippier, which they don't do in attacking positions very commonly, he had to cut back onto his right because there is nothing there.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk with him being in there because he's a better defender and he can help marshal the defence a little bit. And so
where's Aaron Wan-Bissaka?
Southgate didn't have to answer any of those, although all those questions seemed justified in everyone's mind because England won the game. So he doesn't have to deal with it and he can carry on doing it. I think most people would rather not see that, but who are we to question the genius that is? Grealish, think he'll play?
I think he might play over Foden. I don't think Foden took his chance. I know he hit the post, but he was kind of a peripheral figure, and we talked about it in our video. The way England get the ball to him, he's generally surrounded by players, and whilst his touch is brilliant, he is very small, and I think Scotland will be trying to bully him off the ball. Jack Grealish, you can play him with 7 players around him, and you know that the only thing that's going to happen is he's going to draw a foul. And I'm still surprised Jack Grealish didn't play in the last match.
Juninho was small.
Juninho was small.
I've got nothing else to add. I just wanted to make that. And I think that brings us nicely on to predictions. And I will let you, Thomas. I will let you rip the veil off this one, and you can tell me how England are going to mastermind this victory over William Wallace's band of Wallace.
We're going to massively regret this. I'm going 2-0 England. Go on, back Scotland. We know you're going to do it.
I'm going to go for what football needs here. Football needs this. Football doesn't need England winning it. They need Scotland winning it. Scotland needs it. Nicola Sturgeon needs it. I'm going to go for England 1, Scotland 2. Come on, the boys. It's what we all. It's not the result we. It's not the result we deserve, but it's the one we need right now.
And on that absolute bombshell, all that's left for me to do is thank all of our Patreon backers. Thank you to PJ Simpson, Matthew Bowden, Robert Allen, and Christina Allen, and assorted others that still support us. Please, if you enjoyed this video, consider supporting us on Patreon, or at least smash the like button, hit subscribe, and comment below with your predictions. That's groups D, E, and F done. We will be back soon with our predictions for the third round of matches in groups A, B, and C.
Flatter sky.